Morning, Chad. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you, Paul?
I am doing very well, thank you.
Good.
Well, I am super stoked that you were interested in doing this series with me. It's been a little while since we've done one. So basically, we're going to walk through your implementation process over the next few weeks. So we'll meet. We'll just kind of check in, see how the progress is going, learn about what you're learning about, and just kind of document it for other people that are kind of going through the same, discovery process of deciding, what system they might want to adopt. So thank you very much. I appreciate you volunteering for this.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I'd love for you to start by sharing a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah. So as far as the company goes, we've been around for 55 years.
Wow.
Back in 1981, my dad and Mike Hibshman bought the company and moved it up to where we're at now in Union, Michigan. And it went from a small shop to over 50 some screw machines. So we had Brown and Sharps and Acme Gridleys. And in 2014, Mike Hibshman passed away, with my dad being the sole owner now. And that's the way it is today.
Okay.
As for myself, I've been here since '05 after college. So I've been here for 17 years now. In September it was. And then for me, I started off in the sales side of it. So I was in sales department for 11 years or something like that. And then moved over into vice president role. And then in 2020, I moved into the president role.
Okay. Very cool.
So, yeah.
So you've been through lots of areas of that company.
Yes.
So what does the company look like today?
The company today, we have doubled in size since I took over in 2014. We still do have the Brown and Sharps and the Acme Gridleys. But with that being said, in 2018, we started acquiring some CNC equipment. We bought our first mill with a pallet changer on it. And then in 2020, we bought our first lathe. And then in 21 and 22, we bought our first Swiss machines. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're still majority screw machines, but about a half a dozen or so CNC machines now?
Yep. So, and I think that's the way that we're looking to go here in the next 5 to 10 years of continuing to grow that side of it.
Okay. And how many folks are on the team today?
I have 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. That's a nice size company. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, so you decided that, actually, before we hit record, you were telling me that when you first came in, why don't you paint the picture of what things were like, how the company was run back then?
Yeah. So in '05, when I came here, I was telling you that, so this will be my third tear down of what I deem the foundation of the company, being the ERP system. So this is my third tear down. In '05, when I came in, it was in order for us to make travelers to go out to the shop. We had to handwrite all of our travelers, and then we had to go find the prints, which were stuck in binders. So I had to dig through. I think we had maybe 5 or 6 binders that were just stacked full of drawings. I had to go in there, find the drawings, make a copy of those, packet everything together, and then send it out to the shop. So when I got here, as a 25-year-old kid, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. There's got to be a better way. So from there, we went from, instead of handwriting, I made a Excel form. Everything went, into Excel form. And then I scanned all of the drawings in as we went. And, had a better system, but still not great. And then in 2008, I think, is when we purchased QuickBooks.
Okay. So you didn't even have an accounting package before that?
Nope.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then in what we did, but all we did was invoice out of it. That was it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't even know what it was. In '08, we got QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, that's where we really started to dive in a little bit. And we utilized every aspect of QuickBooks, from estimating through invoicing, build assemblies, and all that.
Oh, wow.
And in our item list, we discovered that we could input attachments. So we attached to the parts all of our documentation, right? So that was our
Okay.
second process of me, probably over the course of a year or two, of getting all those Excel sheets, right, and putting them
Right.
into one location into QuickBooks. Um, and then from there, my third teardown was in 2018.
Okay.
And I integrated all the, we probably had 3 or 4 different documents, locations that I had to
Mhm.
make to create a traveler.
Yep.
And I created those all into one Excel sheet with tabs underneath.
Okay.
Um, and that happened in 2018. And again, it took about a year or so.
Right.
Um, but hopefully this is my last teardown.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's a
um,
lot of work, right?
Yep, it's a lot of work. I understand the process, but I also understand, right, that we have, as I mentioned earlier, right, we've doubled our revenue since I took
Sure.
over,
Wow.
and I know that we're at a point now that in each segment along the way, right, we had to tear down our foundation to rebuild it to get to the next step, right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I understood we are now came to a point where I needed to get rid of QuickBooks and look for an ERP system that could uh, help us further grow. Not only double our revenue, but triple it and quadruple it.
Sure.
And ProShop I felt was the way to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'd love for if you to elaborate just on maybe some of the pain points that you were experiencing when you decided you got to do this a third time and hopefully final time.
yeah. So like I was telling Daniel Soderland,
Mm.
I've been stalking you guys for about a year.
Okay.
So I think I knew that we needed to make a change. Daniel came on board and we did, I think, 2 or 3 Zoom calls.
Mm-hmm.
I got to understand the process a little bit. And then I also looked at, 2 other ERP systems as well.
Okay.
But after that call, from a year ago, I knew that there was only one choice for me personally, and that was with ProShop. Um, but then from there, it was, when's just the right time to
Mm-hmm.
to pull the trigger and
Right.
start doing this.
Okay.
Um,
And
but as
what
far as
was
the
the,
pain
yeah,
points
what
go,
became the right time?
yeah. So with the pain points, I think what the final straw was, just a couple months ago, we were, in our daily production meeting with all of my shop leads,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they kept on pointing fingers of whose job it was to run what, and nobody was running it, right? Like there was just a whole, there was not clarity
Right.
on it. And before I would go after, talk to the leads separately, like, why aren't we getting this? What's the problem? And I think Dave from Ebra Growth Systems, he recommended a book to me called Extreme Ownership, and
Mm-hmm.
so I read that, and from there it clicked, right? Like it's my fault, right? This is the reason why we're having these issues. Is because me myself as the leader of this company isn't giving the direction that we need, and
Yeah.
I need to do something about it. So that was really the pain point for us, and what made me pull the trigger.
Wow. Well, that takes incredible humility to realize that you're the issue. And
Yeah, right.
that's true of every business leader. They are the issue.
Yeah.
So, well, good for you. That's awesome. Okay. So, and then yeah, I'd love for you to just outline a little bit what the process was like once you decided to sign up with ProShop.
Yeah. So everything was very smooth process. I think you had the quote system. That was all. It was just a link, I think, right?
Oh, just the online
Um,
proposal.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it was the online proposal. All I had to do was scroll down there. I had to change the number of people that were,
Hmm.
employed here,
Yep.
um, and then submitted that. And I think on Monday I got a call back from Daniel saying these are our next steps. Um, and we had an onboarding call with you guys that lasted about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, he just, picked my brain on not only personal questions, but, questions about the business and how we operated. And from there, he put us with a implementation specialist that, that was paired up with me based on those
Yep.
questions that I answered.
Yep. You got Robert.
Yep. And I got
Yep.
Robert.
Awesome. Lucky man.
Yep.
Robert's awesome. Very great. And then, and so you have been training now for a couple of weeks. I think you said you're just about to start wrapping up the estimating and quoting process.
Yeah. So yeah, we've done essentially two sections. One is the org chart, and then the next is the estimates. So we're just wrapping that up. Should have that wrapped up today, this afternoon.
And can you describe for me in your own words what that process was like to do the org chart, and sort of the reasons why we're doing that first?
Yeah, I think with ProShop, right? Everybody has responsibility. I ended up going with the flying starter package. I had some hesitancy as to whether that made sense for us or not. We're already ISO certified company, and not to go off track here, but yeah, so we were already ISO certified. But I ended up pulling the trigger on the flying starter package, and part of that flying starter package has the org chart already brought in, which was just kind of great for us, right? Like I feel like we needed an update on our ISO, some of our ISO wording, and it brought that org chart with different sets of job positions, right? Stuff that I have never even thought of before, right? And so it was kind of just brought a whole new perspective to me. But yeah, it was the org chart's pretty simple to put together. You can customize it however you want. It's been pretty smooth. I'm about halfway through finishing that up right now. So
right. And just to kind of as a leading question to the audience here, understanding, I guess, as it relates to the implementation process, a little bit more of the flow of responsibility, I guess, and which would lead into different tasks of who does what in the company, and just understanding as well who needs to be brought in to which training sessions.
Correct.
So are you your own ProShop champion? Are you the champion?
I have two.
Okay.
I was recommended that, again, Dave has mentioned to me, that I need to work on the business, not in the business all the time. So when I told him that I was going to be the ProShop champion, right? He was like, "That's great, but maybe we should also bring somebody in from the shop." So so I have my CNC programmer is also the other ProShop champion. Okay. So we have two bases covered, right? One from an office standpoint, a champion here, and then out in the shop we have a champion out the shop as well.
Okay, fantastic. That's so smart. And so what is the frequency of your meetings with Robert?
So we meet twice a week. Each meeting lasts about an hour and a half. We cut the last one short. It was about an hour, but they typically last about an hour and a half.
And then in between those meetings, we give you homework?
In between those meetings, we like to stick with, every day we're still working on it, right? So even though I'm meeting with Robert twice a week, we're still working on our ProShop on, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? At least for an hour a day. Mm-hmm. So it's not too terrible. I think one of my biggest fears was going into this of retaining all this information, right? How am I going to be able to? There's so much to it, right? Yeah. But how am I going to be able to retain it? Or more so just getting that muscle memory to I know what I'm looking for, but I don't know exactly where it's at, right? Yeah. For me personally, it was the biggest help. I think about a week and a half ago, I figured out that little question mark up in the top with the so you can click on that help button there, And not only does it give you written documentation, but then I saw there's the webinars that you can go to,
Sure.
and it outlines every single thing that you talk about with your implementation specialist.
Right.
So
Awesome.
I found myself going down some rabbit holes of, oh, now I understand what he means, but now I'm going off on a whole other sidetrack of
Sure.
costing and job costing and how do we get these numbers? Oh, it tells you, right? Like,
right. That's fantastic. I'm glad you're digging into those.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, we started doing those beginning of 2019, maybe. I can't remember. So there's a lot of them now. We do them every month.
About right.
Yep.
Everything is 2019 or newer. Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. And any sort of just big epiphanies or things that are different than you expected, or anything at all you'd like to share before we kind of wrap things up here?
I think for us, right, I think that we want to, the nice thing about ProShop and explaining this to our customers, what we're doing, right? Like the feedback that we get from our customers is amazing, right? Like all of them want to come in and check it out and see what we're doing.
That's very
so
cool.
that's been, I think, one of the biggest epiphanies of, right, like this is a sales tool, right?
Oh, yes, it very much is, for sure.
And not only from a customer standpoint, right, but from an employee standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I think, with my team, we discuss around in our area, right, not only do we want to be a supplier of choice, but we also want to be an employer of choice. And I think that this is a great tool to tackle both of those.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're spot on about that. We definitely have, and we have videos and stuff when we interview other clients about, how effective it is as a sales tool, both with like purchasing agents and buyers, but also the supplier quality teams that come in to do audits and stuff like that. They just go crazy for it.
Yep.
And then, companies that are attracting employees, should I go to this shop that has paper travelers and old processes, or should I go to this paperless shop that's really modern and digital? So makes it an easy choice sometimes. I am glad you brought up employees. I'd love to, I was remiss in asking you, how did you engage your employees through the process of demoing and choosing ProShop? Just because I know that we've seen different companies do it different ways. Some with great success, some with not as much success. So how did you engage with your employees for that process?
So, I told all of my guys what we were doing. I think we have essentially two different age groups, right? And we have nothing in the middle. We have this older generation that is, I don't want to say nearing retirement, but right within the next 5 to 10 years is going to be retiring.
Sure.
And then I've got this younger generation that is, 35 years old and younger, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like I'm the only one that's in between.
Okay.
Maybe 2 or 3 other people here.
Right. Sure.
So it depends on who you ask, right? I feel like the older generation, there was obviously some questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, for them, I've sat them down, the ones that do have questions, right? I've sat them down individually and had conversations with them of, this is why we're doing it, right? We want your tribal knowledge, right, to extend past your retirement, right? And we can take this tribal knowledge that you have and put it into ProShop and have, I've got one guy out there that's going to be retiring in the spring, and he's got a son that's a machinist. Right. Yep. And so I think it hit home for him of, look, I can take videos of you, put it into our setups, and your son can have this information. Right.
My son works there. Your brother as well.
Yep.
Oh, very cool. How did he think about that? I think
from once I told him that, right, like it started to click of, okay, like this makes sense. Like this is my why of why I'm going to do it. Right. The younger generation, on the flip side, you got the younger generation who's all about it, right? They understand it. They see the improvements that it'll make. They see the data that it'll be able to provide us, and it'll, for a company as a whole, it'll allow us to. I'm able to show my team how we're winning. Like I already know that we're winning, but how can I show them that we're winning, right? How can I gamify, work?
Sure, that's a great strategy.
So, for them, I think that was an easier selling point.
Sure. Yeah, no, it often is. But it's funny, some of the, looking back on some of the hundreds of other shops, it's so common to have the older generation, especially that's a little more hesitant.
Yeah.
But I tell you, in some of our clients, those sort of crotchety old,
Yep.
machinist dudes are
Yep.
become some of the biggest advocates because they
Yep.
see just how much it helps them and their job. And,
Yep.
and if they, care for the company and they know they'll be moving on, they realize that capturing everything they know or as much as they know to pass it
Yep.
on is so critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of pushback so far. So
That's great.
so yeah.
And have you started getting shop floor computers out into the shop yet? Oh yes, you posted that. That's why you posted. That's right. Of course, you posted that picture on LinkedIn. That's partly why I reached out to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us about that.
They don't have them yet, but
Okay.
we just brought in. That was another mind game that I was playing with myself of, what's the best way to do it? We've got, like I said, 50 plus machines that are out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 25 people that are on the shop floor.
Right.
So part of me really wanted to put one on each machine, but from a cost standpoint, it just made.
Sure.
Right now, I just wanted to get up and running, right?
Yeah.
And I knew this wasn't necessarily the best option.
Okay.
I would love to have, I've seen the webinars that you guys have where you have computer on each machine and it's got the double monitors and it's beautiful, right? But I knew that wasn't reality for us.
Sure.
And I just wanted to get us up and running. And I knew that later on we'll change on down the road, but whatever it took to get us running. So when there was a nice Labor Day special that was going on, so we bought some laptops. And my IT guy just came in 2 weeks ago and got all those updated, which is nice because you guys give us a whole little check sheet of what we need from not only the software, right, but the apps, right? Like these are the most common apps that you guys will probably need, Converter and Adobe, and it just made it really simple for him to. So he was constantly circling for like 2 days straight, just circling around and
updating
each laptop and just doing the updates and installing what he needed to install. So yeah, we've got everybody out there will have a laptop.
Okay. And when they so they'll just carry it around with them as they go from machine to machine.
Yep.
Yeah, stay logged into that laptop.
Yeah. Most of our guys, operate multiple machines. So
of course.
So they'll just have it on their toolbox. And most of those are, they just cart around from machine anyways.
Oh, so they just push their toolboxes around.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that certainly works. And I guess if you need a little charge, you just plug in wherever you go to and charge up.
Yeah, we've got drops all throughout the shop, and I assume every night they'll probably charge up and before they go home. But if not, if they forget, there's drops all throughout our shop where they can plug in. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, one possible sort of hybrid scenario, maybe a few months down the road, as you want to, with some of those, and I expect perhaps that at your CNC machines, because you have fewer of those than your old screw machines, but having a monitor set up there just with a docking cable, so you can just plug in and have two screens with your laptop. Because a 24-inch monitor is $120 these days or something like that, or less on sale. So yeah, we've definitely had some clients do that strategy, especially when they have a lot less people serving a lot more machines. That can be an effective way. So
love it, appreciate it.
Cool. Oh, absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, Chad, this has been super fun. I appreciate again you volunteering to do this little series with me. Look forward to talking to you in another week or two and just kind of checking in and seeing how your progress is going.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Paul. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I'm sure it was it's a big decision. It's a scary move, right? To overhaul the way you run your company.
Yeah.
And so the reason we do these is if we can be as transparent as possible and just hear very firsthand experience from someone that's in the midst of it right now, I think there's no better way for other shop owners and leaders to get a sense of comfort and decide, that we might be the right choice. So
For sure.
again,
Yep.
yeah, thank you so much. All right. We'll have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk
Thanks,
to you
Paul.
again
You
soon.
too. All right.
Okay.
Take care.